Fun. What's up, guys? We are doing our first ever podcast here. I am the host, Bradly Overrated, and I am with my friends Juan and Fern. Say hi, guys.
What's up, everyone?
Hey guys,
Beautiful. Awesome
I'm
introductions.
Fern, Fernie Papi Chulo on Twitter if you want to follow.
Beautiful.
Obama on YouTube. So, yeah.
Awesome. Excellent
Spelled like
intros,
the gamer
guys.
tag on screen.
Yep.
Perfect. All right,
You
so
spell it
today...
right, you get the president.
That's right, you get the president. And today we are discussing the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox, and we're going to start off with the PlayStation 4. And I want to know right now, Fern, what did you think of that live E3 demonstration that they just gave us?
You know what? How it was laid out and presented was very weird. Some parts I liked, some parts I didn't. I liked that because as like the previous presentations, s- I do like that they did the little music, the
Mm-hmm.
little live concert that's actually related to the game before showing the game. Kind of like putting
It-
you in the mood.
yeah, it really, they were, they drew you into the game because that same music that they were using, or at least that style of music, really, like, it was in the game. Like, during the gameplay and everything, it was in the game. It really drew you in, immersed you into the gameplay and into the story, and it really captivated your attention. I don't know. I feel like it was huge. It made such a big difference for me.
Yeah, they did the same thing actually last year with God of War when they did the E3 thing, and that was a lot better done actually because they had a full orchestra. This time they just had solo artists come out. Although I was happy to see Gustavo come back and do The Last of Us with the banjo. Love the banjo. Can't get enough of it. So that was good. What do you guys though think about the games? Which one were you most excited for, Juan?
I don't remember what it was called, but it was that samurai one, um, where they had the guy with the flute and he was in a traditional, or what seemed to be a traditional Japanese attire with a straw hat and everything like that. It flowed so well. It reminded me of Ninja Gaiden, but the only thing that really put it into perspective for me and how fun it could be, it wasn't over the top. There weren't legions of enemies, and I don't know. It was just a very clean, very well. It seemed like it was very oriented on the story, not so much the fighting. And I prefer a story over massive amounts of gore and blood and stuff like that. If that makes any sense. So that's really what you know. That was my favorite thing. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
What about
like
you,
what Juan
Fern?
said. I do like what Juan said. If I could just keep on going with what he's saying, that I did like that it wasn't flooded with enemies. Because you know, a lot of these samurai games and stuff that you get, like 99 Nights, Dynasty Warriors, you get like 100 plus enemies on screen. And to be honest, like even with things like the new Spider-Man or like the old Batman games, it's refreshing to see maybe just like 2 or 3 enemies on screen instead of like a wave of 16.
right.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
just
I'm pretty excited about it. I'm also excited about The Last of Us 2. That's my personal one that I'm the most
oh,
excited for. And that
I was really impressed with
les
that.
I was impressed with it. I'm more impressed about the
That was
lesbian action
impressive.
that we got to see.
You know, just the
I had a
gameplay
feeling about that.
captivated me. I don't know.
The
I
gameplay looked like
can't.
the Splinter
I.
Cell game I always wanted.
It's true.
And that's the best I could think of. Like
Oh
actual
my gosh.
consequences instead of, oh no, there he is! You know, like, it just.
Get him! Get him! Yep.
I was
Yeah,
sitting there like, dude, if Splinter Cell ran like this, oh my god.
yeah, that would be nice, of course. You know, Ubisoft didn't announce Splinter Cell, but we'll discuss them at a next time we do this. But I just I was really into it. I'm really into The Last of Us. I played the first one. It was absolutely incredible. So to be able to actually see how the game's progressing and it looks better in almost every capacity, especially since they improved the stealth mechanic from what I can tell, that was my biggest issue from the first game was they didn't really
Okay.
address the stealth mechanic at all.
Let me just point something out real fast here. We have seen countless zombie games come out in the past year. Okay, none of them have been what you would expect a zombie game to be. Okay, I know the objective is to like survive and kill as many zombies as you can, but the idea of it being stealthy and actually trying to survive, because let's be realistic, you're not going to be able to shoot down 500 zombies and live. Okay, it's just you're gonna die. I like the idea of it being the zombies are a problem, but really the true enemy is your fellow man, because that's really what it would be, you know? I feel like competing with other humans for resources to stay alive is going to be a more clear and present danger, especially as time goes on where zombies start to rot away completely and they can't really move as fast and stuff like that. But, I don't know. It's like... It's almost like factual in a way, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It has a real life type of impact similar to that of the Walking Dead series that you watch on TV. Now, Fern, I know you're not a big zombie fan. What do you think of the game? Are you gonna get it?
I will need to completely finish the first one, but what I saw, it really makes me want to go back to Cameron's and finish the last couple chapters I'm missing.
Right. Yeah, because
But
The
yes,
Last
what
of
I
Us.
saw was very impressive. What I saw was very impressive. And what I played of the first one, I am more than impressed, to be quite honest with you. And I do agree that it deserves its praise. So the hype, I gotta say, the hype for 2 is real.
I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
it captivates a wider audience than just a zombie audience, or just a survival audience, or just a stealth audience. And I feel
Because
like
you
that's
know
what
me,
makes
I
it a good game.
typically don't like zombie games. They're really hard for me to get into. Why I love Resident Evil, I don't know. But for some reason, I really like The Last of Us. But I think a lot of it does play into the story. As Juan was saying earlier, story plays a huge part on if I'm going to like a game or not.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
if you
absolutely.
have plot holes and just things that don't make any sense, like why is everything just focused on one aspect of this game when you have so much more that this game could offer? And I feel like The Last of Us has always been really good at offering more than just the zombies, you know? I have always been impressed with The Last of Us. I've always been happy with what they've done, and I'm glad that, from what I've seen so far, they're going to continue down that road of captivating you more than just one way, and more than just, hey, let's see how many zombies you can kill. It's more of a immerse me in this world and what it might actually be like to be alive through this situation.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have a Naughty Dog publishing a game like that and developing a game like that, you're getting something good because they're the same guys that did Uncharted, and that game actually plays very similar to The Last of Us. So they make good stuff out there.
I think it's just, if they were to not put as much effort and release something like this game, where it's just buggy and laggy and stuff, I think even if it was the same concept, it wouldn't work just because it draws your attention away from the story. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It just, every time they've released something, it's been on point. As technology has came out, they've taken advantage of that. They've been able to use the full power of whatever console they're using. And it's been amazing.
For me, I would say that if God forbid, if The Last of Us played like this game, if it did, I wouldn't say it would take me away from the story, but it would definitely make me like not be as engaged to get to the story, to continue.
Okay, so
it. Like I feel like I
let-
would put it down just because it's harder to play.
yeah, and sorry to talk over you, Fern.
You're okay.
Let me ask you guys this question though: how many times have we played a game where we've loved the story, but you just can't, or the actual gameplay itself, but you just can't get over the BS or stuff like that? I mean, it ruins it.
Where do I
can't handle it
start?
personally. Like, remember
Dino
that,
Crisis 3.
all the cheating, all that stuff. I mean,
PUBG itself, the one that we're playing right now.
like the buildings at 105 that just rendered on my screen and wasn't there a few seconds ago, and we've been here for like 45 seconds, stuff like that. Like, how can you
Oh,
play
yeah.
a game and enjoy it when
Could you
You don't
imagine
even know if you're
halfway
gonna
through
die.
that Last of Us demo, like 2 dudes just pop up out of nowhere, or a building decided to pop up halfway through?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't exactly sold on Death Stranding. I mean, I'm intrigued and I love Hideo Kojima and everything, but that game, they haven't actually answered any questions. They only create more questions with those stupid trailers, I think.
I do agree. Every trailer gives me more questions, and I have a lot more questions after this one than I did the other
So,
two.
how long? I remember seeing something vaguely where the main character washes up on shore and he's pregnant. Is this the same game? Am I
Yes.
Yeah,
thinking about the same game?
the
Okay,
same
so
game.
every like, what is going on? Like, how are we supposed to want
I
to
don't know.
have this be something we want to play?
I have no idea.
There was, so I mean,
Then that's the one
I
thing I was hoping to get out of the trailer. Yes, they showed animations. Yes, they showed him moving through the world, which, like Metal Gear Solid 5, it looks like it's going to be a huge open world and you can go where you like, but it doesn't show me how I'm going to play necessarily. It doesn't, like, honestly, I feel like it's, um, like Resident Evil 4 with Ashley. What kind of quest is that? Like a return quest, a fetch quest? I feel like it's just a big game like that. Like, is the fetus gonna have a separate health bar?
Why do you have to eat a caterpillar? I mean,
a caterpillar that looks like a baby human, like a fetus. Like,
yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
that was weird. So something I noticed, those black floating, almost human ghost things. It looked like they had umbilical cords, so I'm assuming that's tying in somehow.
Well, with
I
the
don't.
last
I
couple
just.
trailers, they showed a bunch of umbilical cords too.
So I mean, I don't doubt it will be a good game just because Sony is so hyped about it. Sony has
And they're
always been good
practically,
about. Right. Like,
yeah, they're
they
practically
just.
giving Hideo Kojima a blank check and making him do weird things with his famous friends, dude. That's really what the trailers look like.
Like, I've never played any of his games, so I don't have much of
But
an opinion on what he does. But, for example, Sony did not take PUBG just because of the sheer quality or lack of it, right? It didn't take PUBG just because of that. So I'm optimistic that the game will be fantastic. I'm sure a lot of people will like it. Obviously, some people won't. It's just how it works. But like, I would give it a shot simply because of the way it looked. The graphics were really good. I enjoyed them. But other than that, I don't know that I would play it for any other reason.
Yeah, I mean,
well, I feel like we would just have to, again, like we said the last two E3s, yes, we're going to have to wait to see what else they announce about it because there's just more questions now and there's no
Plus,
answers.
we're gonna be waiting 3 more E3s, and then we'll
and
find out.
yeah, and speaking of waiting, I was really sad because they showed a bunch of new games, but for a lot of those games, like The Last of Us Part 2 and Death Stranding, we didn't get a release date for those games.
Yes, we didn't,
Yeah.
but I kind of have an idea just because, like, from what Bethesda said, but we'll get to that when we decide to talk to that, so.
That's fair. But one of the things I've noticed that E3 this year was that there was a lot of games that were shown, but a lot of them didn't have release dates, and that's kind of the thing that I always tune in for when I watch E3. Is I love new announcements, sure, and all of that, but I really want to know what games are coming out so I know where to distribute my money accordingly. And unfortunately, there are
Or
so
what to
many
look out
games.
for that matter.
Yeah, exactly. How to with release dates, I get a plan essentially. I get a kind of like a financial plan of where I'm gonna spend the money that I can use actually for video games too. And
Oh, come on, dude. January has like 5 games coming out. 5 games,
yeah,
$60
January's got a
yeah,
each.
it
lot
What
more
is
than
does.
just
that?
that.
That's $300 you're gonna blow on the game by itself. That's not
I am
all the
a.
special editions.
Can I just say I'm amazed that January has so many release dates? Like that's just
To be
mind
honest, I'm
blowing.
okay with them just picking one month and releasing a few heavy hitters, and then every few months release another one until E3 again, and then just keep the hype going, because it sucks when it gets stagnant like it did this year. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, I kind of like what they're doing here. I'm really interested to see if they keep up this momentum and this tempo with future E3s. But I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the way things have worked out.
Yeah, it's not bad. So if I was to say, guys, give a scale from 1 to 10, the PlayStation 4's E3, what would you guys give it?
7, 7 to 8, high sevens.
So a good one then.
And
Not the best thing you've ever seen, but a good one, Juan.
It's pretty good. It's one of the better ones in recent years. I don't know. I just with what I've seen so far in E3, I haven't been super happy, but we'll get into that later. I know Fern has a lot to say about that, but I don't know. I'm okay with what's going on right now.
Yeah, what about you, Fern?
I give Sony's a 9, and that is very high for me. I don't own a PlayStation console. I never have. Don't get me wrong, but I give it a 9 mainly because they actually showed things.
They actually showed gameplay, you mean?
They actually showed gameplay. They actually, like, oh yeah, Death Stranding's coming out. Here's a little gameplay. Yeah, it didn't show a whole too much, but here's a little something. Oh hey, The Last of Us 2, big title. Here's 7 minutes. Go crazy, get hyped. And that's my favorite part of E3 is seeing the gameplay of what's coming out. Trailers are cool, but I could get those on YouTube. Since I first tuned in to E3 back in 2005, the gameplay's always what got me, and so far this is the only one that's really shown the most.
That's fair.
Brad, what's your opinion on it?
I give the Sony presentation a 7. And it's a solid 7, but I've seen better from Sony. I thought their last year's E3 was a lot better, actually. I thought the way they presented the games was stronger. I liked the announcements better. They had more release dates. I felt like the content was it was all amazing. So I loved Sony last year a little bit more than I would say this year. Now,
Okay, if we're comparing it,
yeah, let's compare it.
if we're comparing it to previous years, I'd say probably like 7 as well. But for my rating personally, it was more like from what's currently there in comparison to the other ones.
Okay, with that said, then if we're comparing it to other E3 presentations this year, I'm gonna have to agree with you. It was a 9, okay, solid 9 too, because what I saw with Microsoft and Bethesda and all that, which we'll talk about later, like you guys said, it was just, I don't know, I was a lot happier with it.
Yeah, it was a really good performance again by Sony, which is to be expected. They've been kind of on fire the last couple of years. Is there any game that we haven't talked about yet that you guys wanted to discuss?
Resident Evil 2.
There you go.
Oh,
baby.
I jumped out of my seat when I saw Leon. Oh man.
Oh, Leon's so sexy.
You mentioned you wanted closure from 5 and 6. What did you mean by that? Because I'm not super familiar with Resident Evil, but I love the movies, so I want to play this game.
Oh, so what I meant by that was when we first saw, let's say, Resident Evil 5, we saw a trailer like this one, which didn't like show. It got you hyped just like this one did. But I was getting mad on the chat earlier, I wish they would have shown gameplay because that would have made me more excited. Like, the only game that they decided not to show gameplay was Resident Evil 2, and that kind of pissed me off. But, yeah, I wish they would have showed that gameplay to give me a little closure to see if I would like it more than, say, something like RE5, RE6, which I thought were complete trash. I still love the series.
Oh,
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was really good. Fern, by the way, there's a guy coming. He's healing his buddy, just so you know. But
okay.
Resident Evil 2 is going to be awesome. That was probably actually my favorite Resident Evil game, so I am very excited to have that back. Hands down. That was a really exciting game to see. Just even if it's just a remaster.
It was a good chapter. Yeah, it was a great chapter. And honestly, like, I'm glad that it's a remaster and not just a graphics overhaul.
I mean,
Oh
they do
yeah,
so many games now.
Yeah.
yeah, they do a lot of them. Oh, and I'm also excited for Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, I'm not gonna really brush over it too much. I'll save that for Square Enix, but I'm excited for it. I'm a big fan of that franchise, so it's good to always see new content from that as well. Now let's
I
move
never
on.
played the Kingdom Hearts, but it looks incredible. It
Yeah,
really
it's
does.
good. It's good. But let's move on now because this is a comparison podcast, guys, and we're going to talk about Microsoft's now. And what did you guys think of Microsoft? Let's start with you, Juan.
So, in comparison to the Sony presentation, wasn't really impressed with Microsoft. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Xbox guy. You guys know that. I love Xbox. Me and Fern have played Xbox together for years, but I'm just starting to see that they're kind of
2007,
falling
baby.
behind. Yep, exactly. We've avid Xbox fans, me and Fern, but they're falling behind. They need to do something a little different. I was glad to see that they were like for Tangled or not Tangled. What was the one with the yarn, the little dolls?
Unraveled
What is
2?
Unravel.
that? Unraveled 2. When they were like, this is out today. This is our announcement. It comes out right now. I was like, that is sick. I wish more people would do that because it's unexpected and you're just like, dang.
Wasn't that EA that did
So,
that, though?
was that
EA
EA?
did that.
EA did
EA
that.
did that.
Yeah, it wasn't actually
I'd have to
Microsoft.
omit this. Yep, sorry.
Oh,
Anyway,
no, no, it's fine.
I take that back. Okay, Microsoft. I was getting these. I watched three of these today, guys. So I'm sorry.
Oh, I know how
My
that goes, dude.
my only problem that I had with not only problem, but one of the biggest ones, gameplay. When you need to see gameplay, that's how you captivate your audience. For example, the new Halo Infinity or whatever. I guess I was reading up on this the other day, and it is confirmed that this will be quote unquote Halo 6. But
It'd be
they were
nice if they gave us a
presenting
number.
right, right, and from what I understand, they're trying to get away from the numerical system. They don't want to be like Final Fantasy 12. Like that's what they're trying to get away from. That's why they didn't give us a number. What I really enjoyed though was that they were presenting their new engine that they developed for this game. It's called the Slipspace engine. That was what they were presenting. It just so happened that they were trying to show us at the same time that in Halo Infinity is happening, but they were focusing on the graphics, what it looks like, the Slipspace engine. That's what this was about, and I don't feel like E3 really. People don't care about the engine we're using. They want to know what the game's about, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but the engine doesn't matter. Like, as long as it runs, who cares?
Yeah, I thought Xbox. I'm gonna be honest with you. I am not even a little bit excited for Halo Infinite just because 343. I really don't like what they did with Halo 5. I mean, Halo 5 to me is just terrible from head to toe. So when they announced Halo Infinite, just the fact that I know it's being developed by 343 Industries already makes my face just kind of cringe just because I don't like the direction they've taken the Halo franchise. It's just not the same for me anymore.
I would like to point out the fact that a lot of people complained about the way they were doing things, the graphics, everything like that, like the new armor Master Chief had. They went back to the older style of armor he had. The game looks more like Halo 1 did in a way. I don't know if you guys
I
noticed
did
that, but
catch
it's like
that when I
it's
saw
not
that. It looks
so
cleaner.
it's not so gaudy either. Like all the technology for like the Forerunner technology they had, it's just it was like, is it magic? Is it science? What's going on here? But when they showed those spires that shoot the laser into space from Halo 1, I was just like, this is Halo. This is what I remember. And I don't know, that really brought back memories. I'm excited to see what they do with it. I don't have my hopes up because they butchered Halo 5 and their Halo 4 wasn't all that impressive. It was just a copy of Halo Reach, basically. So I don't have my hopes up, but I'm interested to see what they do with it.
Yeah. And then can I just say that Microsoft's E3 presentation for the most part was just predictable in a lot of ways? We already knew that there's going to be a new Halo announced and a new Gears of War announced and a new Forza Horizon announced. I wasn't too blown away by any of the content, and it's not that I'm not excited for these games, it's just that when it comes to having a unique wow factor on their presentation, I don't know what. Did any of the games make you go, I need this and I need this right now, or get you excited?
Yes and no.
Yes and no, let's hear it.
Yes and no. Yes, I knew Halo 6 was coming. No, I did not know it was going to be shown at E3. I completely agree with Juan. I love the aesthetic of this trailer. It does look like Halo 1, and you're right. To see the Spire shoot the plasma beam, energy beam, whatever that was, it did bring me back to the second mission of Halo 1, and something about it drew me in, but I wish they would have shown us more. But as you were saying about the games, like, yeah, a lot of it we knew was coming. Halo needs its Gears of, or X Microsoft needs its Gears of War, Microsoft needs its Halo. But then they did throw in like a little surprise in there that did make me feel like, dang, I really want this now. Like the Nintendo ripoff Tunic.
Oh, is that surprising
No.
for you?
That was surprising in the fact that it's Star Fox in a Legend of Zelda game world on Microsoft console. I dig it. I like it. I was into it.
Weird.
I really want to play it.
All I could think of was, you wannabes. You complete and total wannabes. I get Legend of Zelda's amazing and all, but man, a little bit on the nose there for me personally.
Just a little bit of the fox hairs, I'll give it that. But damn, did I not?
Yeah.
I texted you the second I saw that. I wanted to get it.
So here's what I thought about when I saw that trailer. So many of their games are so competitive and so uptight, and it's like, oh, get Diamond, get MLG, blah 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 blah. When I saw that, I was like, that's a story that I could possibly really get into, because I've been playing a lot of the Nintendo Switch because Brad really piqued my interest with stuff like that, but that's a different topic altogether. I just feel like I just want a good story where I can just play it, it's not too terribly violent, and you guys know I like my first-person shooters, you guys know I like my fighting games, but I was just like, Xbox needs more of this because they're missing out on a huge market to be able to focus on and captivate audience, because not everyone wants to play first-person shooters, not everyone wants to just be competitive gamers. Like, there's a market that they're not tapping into, and Xbox, I think, is going in the right direction. I didn't see that coming personally, but I was really happy to see it.
I didn't get a chance to say how I felt about the Microsoft conference. As a whole, it's pretty average compared to the other conferences. But in terms of what Microsoft's been dishing out lately, this one was definitely one of their better ones.
Yeah, it wasn't bad by any means. I have to say, I'm excited to see the Cuphead DLC. I think that's pretty awesome. It's a great game, one of the best games you can get on the Xbox. And I was really excited to see some more gameplay from Ori and the Will of the Wisp. Being a person that's actually played Ori and the Blind Forest, that is my favorite game I've played on the Xbox so far. So to see that more content from that gets me excited, although I was really bummed out that once again they didn't give me a release date. I want my freaking release dates, guys. I gotta have them. And a lot of those games...
Release dates are important, that's for sure. As for me with Cuphead, I am ecstatic and excited for that.
So, do we know if there are going to be servers for Cuphead for the multiplayer? Because I really enjoy what they did with that, and I would like to see... Did they talk about that at all, or...?
They talked nothing, they just announced.
That's too bad. I'm glad they have more coming, though.
Great game.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely great game.
Absolutely. And what do you guys think of the direction of Gears of War 5? Do you like that Kate is taking over the whole thing, or do you think you would rather have Marcus's son, whatever his name was, because I didn't care for him personally too much. I can't even remember his name.
To be quite honest, I like that they are giving her like a Dom from Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 aesthetic feel. Um, I did like Dom in the previous games.
Oh, Dom was the
I
best.
Yeah, I do like where they're going with it personally, and the fact that they're gonna try and keep it more of like a tighter, closer to home story. It looks like they're doing instead of the huge grand. Like, yeah, of course they're still trying to save their world, but it looks like this one's trying to keep it closer knit story, kind of like how God of War does it, The Last of Us does it. Halo 4 tried to do it,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I
I
don't
can
remember
respect that.
watching it, so I don't know. I did not enjoy the last Gears of War. I mean, me and Brad played a little bit, and it was fun because I was playing it with one of my really good friends, but I wasn't captivated by the story like I was with 1, 2, and 3, and then the Pendulum Wars was okay too, but I wasn't
It was the
captivated, so I
dialogue
didn't
in
really pay
Gears of War
attention.
4. It's like they were trying to be serious at moments, but then they just had the worst, like, one-liners that you could think of.
Bingo.
That was always just annoying. But the gameplay is
I
fun,
think me
and
and Brad made a video on that and just made fun of him.
I
So
think we might have. And but the nice thing about Gears of War 5 is it looks like they're getting rid of the little cheesy one-liners and they're really focusing on what Gears of War for a lot of people was about, which is delivering a great story with, characters you actually care about.
yeah, okay. So I mentioned earlier how I was happy to see that they weren't making a game that was ruthless, but Gears of War needs to be ruthless. It needs to be emotional, and they need to keep it that way. When you get drawn out because you have a really intense emotional scene, and then right after you jump into gameplay and someone cracks a dumbass comment, it's just like, okay, well, there goes that. That's how I felt about that. So I'm happy that we're gonna
That's
move
how
away
I
from
felt
that.
with the first Tomb Raider.
Speaking of which,
Oh no,
Shadow
I killed
of
this man, I'm a murderer, what am I gonna do? Immediately stab a freaking ice pick into someone's head like nothing's wrong.
Save that for Square Enix, Vern. Save that for Square
Saving.
Enix.
Saving.
And they also announced that they're making a new Xbox console, which
What? I
is
didn't see that coming. I didn't watch that part.
My
yeah.
guess is 2021 release.
I'm guessing 2020.
Yeah.
I think it'll be before 2021 actually.
I
And the
thought they were
reason
gonna move towards PC gaming.
they still are, they're still committing to making a lot of their games cross-platform. But let's be honest here, the market for console gaming is not dead yet. There's still hundreds of millions of people that enjoy playing on consoles just for the sheer fact that you don't have to deal with all the PC stuff, which isn't that bad. I get building a PC isn't as hard as it used to be, but some people just like the convenience of being able to plug something in and have it running.
Also, I think a big factor, especially now, is all the cheating on PC. So I could get behind
There's a lot of cheating on
them.
consoles.
Yeah. Well, nowhere near as much as PC.
No,
I think
yeah, I was gonna say not
like
even close to PC's amount
like
of cheating.
I
True.
understand that it happens. Like, and if people are wanting to do more serious gaming, like with the mouse and keyboard, I think you should have the option to be able to plug it in, but only play with people with mouse and keyboard. I know that's dumb. I know that's not a popular view, but I feel like if you have the power to do it, like give them what they want. Like give them mouse and keyboard adaptions, like, and then have it recognize that it's using a mouse and keyboard, and then you can't play with controller players because you're just gonna waste them. I don't feel like that's unreasonable personally, because you're using the same hardware as a computer essentially, so why not just be able to do that? Avoid all the cheating, still get to use mouse and keyboard, but I don't know. How
Yeah.
do you guys feel about that? I know that's not a popular view, but what do you guys think?
Doesn't matter to me personally, just because I suck at games in general, unless it's story driven. But like, my main thing with the PC to Xbox and Xbox sharing all its AAA games with PC is that what's the point of having an Xbox if you're gonna have the superior thing on the PC at this point? Like, you want exclusives, you want to be able to sell the Xbox, you know?
Right.
Like what we were saying with Gears of War. Yeah, I can play Gears of War on my PC and it'll run and probably play a lot better than anything on the Xbox. So, whoop.
And you lost your train of thought. I love it.
I did. I saw a person walk.
It's all good.
Anyway,
You guys will be super
saying, you
missed.
can edit, right?
No, 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 I'm not gonna edit this. Everybody will know you died.
Don't edit my mistakes. But again, like back to the overall conference talk. Kind of a side note on top of that, Microsoft did do a better job at showing what games I'd rather be playing on a PS4 than Sony did. I will give it that. They did try to show a lot of these exclusive games under a, like, oh, you get to exclusively watch it here first, but it's not exclusive to the console. I saw that they tried to hide that. I also didn't like that they were trying to push Games Pass so much. Yes, I understand the point of it, but we'll get into like a marketing level of it at some point or some other time in a video. But I feel like they did try and plug in different advertisements other than just games.
Yeah. And then they also announced that they bought 5 studios, like just outright. Now they own 5 studios or whatever that was. I felt like Oprah Winfrey a little bit. You get a studio, you get a studio, everybody gets a studio!
I know, it felt like that, but in this case, it's I got your studio, I got the studio, I got the studio.
That's right. And I kept thinking it was going to end, and they're like, we got another studio, guys! And then after this studio, we got another studio!
So, we were talking while we were watching the Sony presentation about how Sony likes to give their studios creative control. Microsoft doesn't do that. They ruin games, man. Like, I am nervous about them picking up that many. They ruin games. It doesn't work well when they do stuff like this. So I want to see what happens. I want to say it'll be good, but they like to have a lot of control over their products. So,
Well, I mean, I would much rather Microsoft be taking the reins of a lot of these companies than something like EA.
Oh, EA's a nightmare. If you want your company to die, get bought out by EA. That seems to be one of the most true statements when it comes to companies getting bought over by another
Either
company.
die with EA or you live through microtransactions is what it seems, but we'll get to that when we get to EA, I guess.
Yes, we will. So, let's go from 1 to 10.
The things that they bought. Undead Labs, what, State of Decay? That's alright. Playground games. I always liked it. Microsoft exclusive anyway, so, like, I didn't think too much of that, but the one that did get me the most was Ninja Theory. I'm curious to see what they're going to be doing with that. What Ninja Theory is going to be doing with Xbox, I should say.
Right. Alright, scale from 1 to 10, Fern. What do you give it?
In comparison to old ones, or compared to just this year's E3?
Either way you want to do it. Just, if you want to compare it to this one, or if you want to do a comparison to previous Xbox ones, you're more than welcome to.
If I could compare it to previous Xbox ones, this one gets a 9 out of 10. But if I were to compare it to this E3 in general, 6. Yeah, 6 out.
I'm gonna have to agree. Maybe a 5. With comparison to everything else, not very impressed.
Yeah. I give it a 6. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing ever, but it wasn't exactly the best thing ever. I think this is, though...
For the record, 5 is my average.
Yeah. And I do think this, though, is a step in the right direction. I will say that much.
Well, I'm interested to see what happens. The do like a lot of the titles that were presented, so my hopes are still up, and I really haven't given up on too much of what I want to see. So,
Yeah. All right, then the last thing we need to discuss before we end this podcast is which one was better. Which one did you like more between Sony and Microsoft? Although I think we have a pretty good idea of what everyone's going to say. But let's start with you, Fern. Which one wins for you?
Which one wins for me, though? I am an Xbox guy, an X-drone as some people call them. I'm going to have to pick PlayStation on this one. They actually showed the games. They hit me with one that I was expecting, but I was not ready for. Resident Evil, if that makes sense. And while they're overall, how they presented it was a little odd, like, they didn't really disappoint. Xbox, on the other hand, I do prefer this, I like this year's better than a lot of the previous years. Let's be real, last year's was kind of a joke apart from Fighter Z. But, yeah, apart from Tunic, I can't really recall anything else that really catches my eye. They didn't show Halo 6, so they might as well have not announced it, in my opinion. Gears of War 5, they said they were making a whole nother trilogy. I knew it was coming. And even though PlayStation's was a bunch of games that we already knew, nothing on Microsoft's made me jump out of my seat like Resident Evil 2. So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
sorry. Sony, by far Sony.
Yeah. And I'm gonna.
I don't even worry about Microsoft. Sony has my attention.
Yeah. Sony's been kind of just dominating the force, and I'm gonna have to say Sony as well. I mean, they just have so many more exclusives, and honestly, I love everything that Microsoft is doing in terms of their Game Pass and the backwards compatibility, and honestly, just the way their system user interface runs. But the one thing that Microsoft has always been lacking has been excellent exclusives, and when it comes right down to that, they just don't have them.
And the ones that they did have not been as good as the past ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, guys. I think this will actually conclude our first podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel, the greatest overrated YouTube channel of all time.
It's been real.
Absolutely. And this was Fern,
boys.
And this was Juan, and I am Bradly Overrated. Thank you so much, guys, and I will talk to you guys later.
Catch you later.
See ya.
Bye, Felicia.
Who's Felicia?
She's the fourth person on this podcast, bro.
Fair enough.
Her mic wasn't working.
Oh.
I have to back out.